Hello and welcome to my IT training tips video. In this video I'm going to explain how to make these cracked effects on skin, as you can see on her shoulders here and on her arms here. So this is a slightly advanced tutorial, so if you don't have a basic understanding of Photoshop you might need some more help or practice first. So our final image is going to look something similar to this on her chest, and I'm going to explain how I made these effects and how you can do them too. And if there's any other effect on this image that you see or curious on how it's done, let me know, because this is an image that I made a while back, and I can explain how I made the textures or the lighting or anything else. Just leave a comment. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to File, Place. And we want to place this concrete hole JPEG file right here. And I'm going to supply all these images and files at the end of the tutorial. So if you hold down Shift and click on a corner anchor, it will allow you to resize it without losing its width or height properties. They will stay the same. So I'm going to place it on her chest. And to place this, you just hit the check up here. Now I'm going to go to Window, Navigator, and that will bring this pop out right here. I'm going to type in 100 to zoom in. So now as you see, we have this rock looking effect, but it's nothing what we want. So I'm going to select the outside of this by clicking on this tool right here, which is the quick selection tool. So it can just be a rough selection, it doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm going to select the marquee tool and click delete. But see, I can't delete it because this is a smart object. So in order to get rid of the smart object property, you can click on any tool. I'm going to click the eraser tool, and all you have to do is click, and it will say this smart object blah blah blah. Just click OK. So now I'm going to go back to the marquee tool and click delete, and now as you can see we deleted the outside, but there's still this messy edge. I'm going to delete these real quick, and now I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, Rotate it a little bit. Still think it's a little too big, so I'm going to Edit, Transform, Scale. Scale it just a little bit down. I'm going to place it right in the center by clicking the check up at the top. Now it needs to be darker, so we got to make it look like a hole and not a gravel rock. So we're going to Image, Adjustments, Brightness / Contrast. Brightness down a lot, contrast up all the way. I'm going to do it just a little bit more. So now you're starting to get something that looks like a hole, but still there's this orangish hue. I'm not sure if you can see on your monitor, but I'm going to get rid of that by going to Image, Adjustments, Hue, Saturation. Just bring the saturation down. So now we got this center hole, but we need some more realistic effects, because if I zoom back out, it doesn't look very blended in or like it's cracking open. So I'm going to go to File, Place. I'm going to place these grudge effects. So I'm going to zoom back out so I can see on the navigator. I'm going to make this smaller, and you can use your own. Don't do exactly what I'm doing. Use your own opinion and your own ideas, but about this size, and I'm going to place it. So now I'm going to select, I want to make this black, and then I'm going to make this one a really dark orange, pretty much black. So now these two colors here are close to black. Like we did earlier, get rid of the smart object by clicking on any tool and just clicking anywhere and click OK. So now, since we have both of these black, we're going to make this grudge effect black. It's gray right now. So I'm going to Image, Adjustments, Gradient Map. And it's going to make it these colors right here that you have there. Just click OK. I'm going to select the marquee tool. I'm going to grab some of these effects, select around them, and just bring them around. Bring them around the rock or around the hole, so it kind of looks like the grudge effects are fading. Not necessarily fading, but cracking out, or they got a little transition from there's not just a straight hole. And so you can just mess around with this until you get something that you like. You don't have to use exact same settings or exact same thing that I'm using. It's totally up to your discretion. So I'm getting about this. It doesn't look bad. Just going to keep messing with it a little bit more. So if I zoom back out, It still needs some work. It's still a little big too. So I'm going to select both these layers by shift clicking. So now as you see they're both blue. I'm going to go edit, transform, scale. Just bring it down just a little bit. I'm going to delete these excess effects. So now we have something. It looks pretty good, but it still needs some more work. So now I'm going to take a brush tool, because these edges, they need to be blended in. I'm going to grab a hard brush, bring the size of the brush down. I'm going to make a new layer and bring the opacity down. So what we're doing here is we're just going to just roughly go around the outside with this black. This might look bad zoomed in, but when we zoom out, it adds kind of a transition effect. I'm going to zoom back out. And as you can see, it kind of makes the hole pop a little bit and look a little more realistic. I'm going to zoom back in. So this is a robotic looking futuristic woman, or a girl, so we need to add some wires and some things, that some of these effects that I added around here, we need to add these in the center. So I'm going to go File, Place. I'm going to place this Wire 4 document. And I already conveniently cut it out for us. So I'm going to zoom out, resize it a little bit. I'm going to place it. I'm going to zoom back in. It's still a little big, so I'm going to make it a little smaller. And so what we have here is this wire effect. I'm going to get rid of this smart object first. I'm going to duplicate this, so if I make any mistakes, I'll have a backup layer. So the first thing we want to do is we want to grab, let's go to Edit, Transform, Rotate. We're going to rotate this wire until we get it in a position that we like. I'm going to scale it down more too. So, I mean, this is totally up to you. You can find something that you like. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be exactly the same as me. But I like this, how it's kind of popping out a little bit here. So I'm going to select this right here. Select inverse to delete the inverse. I'm going to hit the delete key so it deletes our selection. Now, I'm going to grab the eraser tool and I'm going to erase around here to make it blend so it looks like it's like coming out of the hole. But it still doesn't look super realistic. So I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, Brightness, Contrast. Bring the brightness down and the contrast up. Now I'm going to repeat this effect and do the exact same thing that I did earlier. These are the exact same steps, so that's why I'm going a little faster. But I'm going to repeat these steps until I get something that I like again. So I mean, like I said, it's totally up to you. You get it so however you like it. That's what nice thing about Photoshop. It's a lot of experimenting and finding what you like the best. It doesn't necessarily have to be the exact same as mine. It's not that big of a deal if it's not. Just get something that you like. So now that I got these wires in, I'm going to add these red and white wires over here. Doing the same thing I was earlier, just rotating it, just repositioning it. All this stuff is up in the edit options over here. Edit, transform, scale, rotate, all of them. And I'm going to select the inverse of these red and whites, or red and yellow over here, these wires. Like I was earlier, I'm just grabbing the eraser tool. I'm going to erase some of these effects that I don't need. And voila, there you go. And maybe I'm just going to do this one more time, and I'm going to have these little socket things, the end of the wires, maybe just one sticking out over here or something. I mean, this is totally up to you. You can position it wherever you want. There's nothing that's right or nothing that's wrong. It's totally up to your discretion. Image, adjustments, brightness, contrast. Just make it blend in a little bit. So now that you have this, it still doesn't look that, I mean, it doesn't look bad. I'm going to zoom back out so you can look at it. It doesn't look bad. It could still use some work. It's kind of plain. So this red wire, I don't like it being directly in the center. I'm going to rotate it just a little bit until I get, this looks alright. I'm going to rotate it right here, erase around, maybe bring the brightness and contrast up again. And then I'm going to take this wire right here, duplicate it, bring it over here, rotate it a little bit again. I mean, like I said, there isn't a right or wrong answer. It's just whatever you like the most. Erase this right here. Now we got something going on in the center, but we need something to charge all this. So I am actually going to add a battery in the middle, and I already conveniently cut this out. So I went to File, Place, and here's the battery. I'm going to make it smaller by holding down Shift and dragging the handles. I'm going to place the battery right in the center of this image. So now that I have this battery placed, I'm going to zoom back in, I'm going to scale it down till you get something you like. I'm going to grab this tool right here, it's called the Burn tool, and I'm going to get rid of the Smart Object like we did earlier. And the Burn tool, let's set this on midtones and bring the exposure up, which makes it stronger. I'm just going to burn the outside of this image. What this is doing right here, I'm going to burn the highlights now. What this is doing, it gives a fade effect onto the battery, so it looks as though the battery is faded and actually part of the hole right here. So if I zoom back out, it's starting to look a little better, but there's still some things that are obviously wrong. This wire right here, I think there needs to be another one that's running across the bottom. I mean, it's all total your opinion, but it needs to have another one that's running across the bottom, I think, to make it look better. And I also don't like how it's red and white, so the easiest way I think I could fix this, just for right now, make a new layer and then select an orange color. I'm going to zoom in and simply just brush over. I'm going to make sure this layer is below these, and we'll set this on color. We got to make sure it's above the wire. Actually, oh, we got to make sure the opacity up at the top is at 100. That's why it's not working. And I'm going to paint this red and just make it slightly orange. Now, if I had more time, I would spend more time working on these colors, but it's okay for right now. I'm just showing you how to do it so you can do it on your own. So the problem is that our center bulb it doesn't look that good. So we need to make it more blue to fit in. So I'm going to grab blue color and a bigger brush. Just going to simply brush over this. Now that looks terrible, so we need to change the layer modes. I'm going to set it on linear dodge. Now what this does, it gives it a little spark. So I'm going to bring the opacity down and just brush around it, so it looks almost as if it's lit up. And you can mess around with these settings until you get something that you like. I mean, it's totally up to you. There's no right or wrong answer. It's whatever you like. But now we're getting some kind of effect here that really makes it look like there's actually a hole in her chest. And to make it darker, I'm going to get a black color, go back to the brush tool. I'm just going to brush over everything and then set this on overlay. Now what this did, it overlaid the black onto the image. So these blending modes are really useful for making effects and for really making an image pop. I would experiment with all of them. But if I had more time, I would go in and I would add shadows. I would add some more maybe small effects, some small lighting. But for the sake of time, this is a general idea of how to make cracked skin and how to make a realistic robot images in the middle. And for example, if I had more time, here's my original chest piece for her, where spent the time to zoom in and really get everything to look good and change the colors. But you learn the basic concepts right here, which gives a good general understanding of how it works. Yours might look better, but it's going to look different because I don't want you following this exactly. I just want you to try and learn from it. But that's it for right now. So thanks for listening in, and I hope you learned something. Thank you.